So this is part two of the Crusade lecture. In part one, we have seen that in first Crusade between 1096 to 99 AD, four Crusader states were established: Jerusalem, Edessa, Antioch, and Tripoli. In second Crusade between 1147-49 AD, Seljuks they captured Edessa, and then in third Crusade, Sultan Saladin in 1187 AD he captured the holy city of Jerusalem. And in fourth Crusade, Crusaders they diverted to Constantinople and they destroyed this city and looted this city. Now remaining Crusades. So throughout the 13th century, a variety of crusades against enemies of Christian faith, and they were aimed not so much to topple Muslim forces in the Holy Land, but to combat any and all of those who seen as enemies of the Christian faith, like Baltic Crusades between 1211 to 25 and Crusades in Iberian Peninsula. So, Baltic Crusade they sought to subdue pagans in Transylvania. Okay. In the Fifth Crusade, put in motion by Pope Innocent III before his death in 1216 AD, the Crusaders attacked Egypt from both land and sea but were forced to surrender to Muslim defenders led by Sultan Saladin's nephew Al Malik Al Kamil in 1221. From 1248 to 1254, Louis IX of France organized. In 1229, the Sixth Crusade, Emperor Frederick II achieved the peaceful transfer of Jerusalem to Crusader control through negotiation with Al-Kamil. But the peace treaty expired a decade later and Muslims easily regained control of Jerusalem. From 1248 to 1254, Louis IX of France organized a crusade against Egypt. This battle, known as Seventh Crusade, was a failure for Louis. As the Crusaders struggled, a new dynasty known as Mamluks, descended from former slaves of the Islamic Empire, took power in Egypt. In 1260, Mamluk forces in Palestine managed to halt the advance of the Mongols. Mongols were an invading force led by Genghis Khan and his dissidents, which had emerged as a potential ally for the Christians in the region. So now Mamluk they managed to halt the allies of Christians. Under the Sultan Baybars, the Mamluk demolished Antioch in 1268. In response, Louis organized the Eighth Crusade in 1270. The initial goal was to aid the remaining Crusader states in Syria, but the mission was redirected to Tunis, where Louis died. Now, Edward I of England took on another expedition in 1271. This battle, which is often grouped with the Eighth Crusade but is sometimes referred to as Ninth Crusade, accomplished very little and was considered the last significant crusade to Holy Land. In 1291, one of the only remaining Crusader cities, Acre, fell to Muslim Mamluks. Many historians believe this defeat marked the end of the Crusader states and crusades themselves. Though the church organized minor crusades with limited goals after 1291, mainly military campaigns aimed at pushing Muslims from conquered territory or conquering pagan regions, support of such efforts continued to diminish in the 16th century. Reason was the rise of Reformation in Europe and the corresponding decline in papal authority. And Europeans gradually lost military interest in Islam and they focused on their internal political and cultural development. So this was the reason that support became less. So, what was the Reconquista? In 1147, the Second Crusader had stopped off at Lisbon while en route to the east to assist King Alfonso Henrique of Portugal. to capture the city from Muslims. This was part of ongoing rise of northern Christian states in Iberia who were eager to push the Muslim Moors out of southern Spain. I told you it was Iberian Peninsula was independent Muslim state since 8th century. So the Reconquista it happened, and popes were more than happy to support this campaign and widen the idea of crusading to include the Moors as yet another enemy of the West. The same spiritual benefits were offered to those who fought in the Middle East or Iberia. The Spanish and Portuguese nobility were also keen to have the backing of a higher authority and the manpower and financial resources it promised. The local military orders sprang up and the campaigns were remarkably successful so that only Grenada remained in Muslim hands after the mid 13th century. So now the Iberian Peninsula, which came under Muslim rulers in 8th century, now again came under Christianity except Grenada. So first type of crusades happens against Muslims for Holy Land. Second type of crusade happened like in Iberian Peninsula to remove the Moors from there. Then a third arena of the Crusades, again backed by the Pope and wider church infrastructure, was the Baltic and those areas bordering German territories which continued to be pagan. Pagan is like who believes in natural uh, religion. So the Northern Crusades, as such they called, of the 12th to 15th century was first conducted by a Saxon army led by German and Danish nobles. Now this was whole new facets of crusading, the active conversion of non-Christians as opposed to liberating territories held by infidels. In Holy Land, they were liberating the territories held by infidels or non-believers, but now they were actively converting non-Christians or pagans into Christians. Okay. The Crusades largely conducted by military order of Teutonic Knights who called upon other knights from across Europe to help them. Then they carved out their own state in Prussia and then they moved towards what is today Lithuania and Estonia. Quite oftenly, brutally, pagans were converted, and this was more motivated by land and wealth acquisition than anything else. They were so successful in their aims that Teutonic Knights got a job for themselves. So, this you can see, this is about the Northern Crusades. So, we have seen the three types of crusades one for the Holy Land with Muslims, another in Iberian Peninsula, and this third one towards uh, Northern Crusades against the pagans and to convert them in this Christianity. This is Prussia, and you can see the this is how this Northern Crusade happened. So, now the effects of the Crusades. While the Crusades ultimately resulted in defeat for Europeans and a Muslim victory, many argue that they successfully extended the reach of Christianity and Western civilization. The Roman Catholic Church experienced an increase in wealth and the power of the Pope was elevated after the Crusades ends. Trade and transportation also improved throughout Europe as a result of the Crusades. The war created a constant demand for supplies and transportation, which resulted in shipbuilding and the manufacturing of various supplies. After the Crusades, there was a heightened interest in traveling and learning throughout the Europe, which some historians believe may have paved the way for the Renaissance. So this is another reason. This may be another reason for Renaissance. We have seen that fall of Constantinople was also one of the reason of Renaissance. Among followers of Islam, the Crusaders were regarded as immoral, bloody, and savage. The ruthless and widespread massacre of Muslims, Jews, and other non-Christians resulted in bitter resentment that persisted for many years. Even today, some Muslims derisively refer to the West's involvement in Middle East as a crusade. There is no question that the years of bloody conflict brought by the Crusade had an impact on Middle East and Western European nations for many years and still influence political and cultural views and opinions held today. The Crusades had tremendous consequences for all those involved. Besides the obvious death, destruction, and hardships the war caused, they also had significant political and social effects. The Byzantine Empire ceased to be the leader in Christian world. The Pope became the de facto leader of the Christian Church. The Italian maritime states cornered the Mediterranean market in east-west trade. The Balkans were Christianized, and the Iberian Peninsula saw the Moors pushed back to northern Africa. The idea of crusading was stressed even further to provide a religious justification for the conquest of the New World in the 15th and 16th century CE. That is very important. The sheer cost of crusades saw the royal houses of Europe grow in power as because that of barons and nobles, they couldn't afford the infrastructure of crusades, so their power correspondingly declined. People traveled a little more, especially on pilgrimages, and they read and sang songs about the crusades, opening up a little wider their view of the world, even if it turned out to be prejudiced one for many. In longer term, there was a development of military orders which eventually became tied with chivalry, many of which exist in one form or another today. Europeans developed a greater sense of their mutual common identity and culture, which also resulted in a sharper degree of xenophobia against non-Christians, like Jews and heretics in particular. Literature and art perpetuated crusading legends on both sides, Christian and Muslims, creating heroes and tragedies in a complex wave of myth. So, this was part 2 of Crusades. Here, this lecture ends.